congratulations on the book. It's
Thank
beautifully written, even though it's hard.
Thank you. Yeah, I really enjoyed the writing process.
Yeah.
I mean, I've always been a writer, and to be able to actually pour my brain and my thoughts into this project, and it's been 12 years since I left, so I'm far removed enough from it that I felt like I could approach it from a pretty objective place, and I love crafting words and sentences and getting something that's just a concept out onto an actual page is so fun for me. So as much as there were moments that were really difficult to revisit and just take a moment and deal with the shame and all of that, I really did enjoy the process of it. So I'm proud of it.
So it's fair to say it was a really cathartic.
Extremely, yes.
Yeah. Much of the book is about your experience in a cult. When you joined the group, you had moved to LA, you were kind of looking for community. I think so relatable. So much of us make these moves as young people looking for community, a friend, someone to go to the gym with, just kind of hang.
Yeah.
And how did you find yourself in this cult?
Well, it wasn't a cult at first, and that was the first key for me, was that it really was just a group of friends who had met through other mutual friends and things, like you do. You find different people and you all hang out. I met them at a Saturday night Bible study in somebody's home in the Valley, in LA. It was very benign. It was very normal to me, having grown up in a charismatic, non-denominational Protestant Christian environment.
Right.
It's what you do on a Wednesday night, on a Sunday after church. There's these sort of small group elements, and the idea is to keep your faith active in a way that is not so far removed where you go on Sunday and you don't know anyone. You actually have people in your life who are encouraging you, and it's kind of like any art group, a group of actors that want to hang out together so that they can stay connected. So it seemed very normal, and we had a pastor come in from another state, from another church that had fallen apart, and at the time we didn't know why, although I reveal in the book why later. And it was a long con. It was a long game, just watching and waiting and taking his time until there was enough loyalty and control over specific people in the group that it became a high demand group situation. And we were so far in at that point, and so our hearts were so connected. We felt we were young in our early 20s and felt like we were participating in some greater cause. So there's a lot of factors, a lot of variables, a lot of factors.
I think the most important thing you said too, though, is it was a slow thing. It didn't happen overnight, and that's something that people really need to understand. This wasn't like, an overnight thing for you all. It took time.
Yeah, I mean, most people walking into a scenario, any scenario like this, a group of friends, if people said things like, we're going to call your natural family your bio family, and there's going to be things like illegal questions that you're not allowed to ask, and you'd just be like, I don't know what kind of thing you guys are running, but I'm out of here.
Yeah.
So it has to be a slow burn. It has to be something that's it's rat poison surrounded by the cake, right? You'd think it's all yummy and perfect and great, and then there's something that's laced in it, but you don't see it until you're all the way in.
Right. You talk about biofamily.
Yeah.
Can you just explain a little bit about what that term was, how that term was used amongst the community?
Yeah. So one of the key tactics of narcissists is isolation. And this happens not just in group environments, but with an abusive partner, sometimes an abusive work environment or family dynamics. And in order to isolate someone, they have to do it themselves. You can't just order someone to stop talking to other people. You have to convince that person that they are better off without these particular people that you want to isolate them from. And so that's what was done to us, this slow tactic of separating the way you think about your family. It's not just, that's my mom. That's your bio mom. It's your biological mom. Your spiritual mom is here in the group. It's this woman who would have been the Pam character in my book. Your sister is just your bio sister. Your real sisters in spirit, that's who you've been called to, because you're a spiritual being. And you're not made out of just physical flesh and blood, right? So we live in the spirit. I mean, it's so condescending.
Right.
But you believe it when you're all wrapped up in it.
Would you say that they're using terms that are easier to digest than what it actually is?
Yes, of course. You can't just say to someone,
I'm your new mommy now.
Exactly. Yeah. And at one point in the book, this Pam character does kind of infer that to the mother of another group member. Mm-hmm. And it's a huge red flag for her, but it was early enough on in the process for her that she was like, oh, that's weird, I'm out. But yeah, for the rest of us, those things, they were using phrases that seem light. It's like, oh, it's just bio. It's not, you can't just walk up to somebody and say, I'm your new mom.
So as this is happening, as you're getting more infiltrated into this group, you're also a working actor.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
I got One Tree Hill.
You land One Tree Hill.
Yeah.
You don't know that it's going to be a smash hit, but it turns out to be that.
Yeah.
What is this group's reaction to the show becoming a success?
Well, the group as a whole, most of the people were as preyed upon as I was. I think because my paycheck was the biggest, I was probably targeted the most in terms of loyalty and control. But most of the people in the group were really supportive and happy for me. The leadership certainly was supportive as long as I was on the show and continued making the money.
Right.
But they were happy for me, and that's probably one of the things that felt appealing about maintaining relationships in this group was I had known so many Christians in the environment that I had grown up in who were against Hollywood and who thought, oh, there's so much wickedness out there and how could you ever be a part of that? And I was just like, what are you talking about? Like, I'm an artist. Everything in the world is so beautiful. Isn't God an artist? Can't you hold space for both things at the same time? Yeah. And so I was really happy to find a group of friends, of people who felt like they really supported my perspective of art as a means to make people feel hope and sorrow and all kinds of things.
Yeah.
So yeah, they were supportive. Long-winded answer.
No, but it's a long. I mean, like you said, it's the long game, right? Like, it's very important. All these details is kind of how you got here.
Yeah.
You mentioned your financials. They're very involved in your financials.
Yeah.
And that is because you do also get married to someone in the cult.
Correct. Yeah.
So how did that empower them to oversee all your financials?
Yeah, they started a business management company. And they started taking care of the financials for anyone in the group who had their own business. And as an actor, I had all these paychecks coming in, and as a Christian, I felt like I had to do what the traditional Christian thing was, which is to merge my accounts with my husband. And so that opened up the door for them to be able to have full access to my accounts. There were lots of checks being written that I didn't sign off on, didn't know about. Yeah. We found checks that had some other business name, but my account number on the bottom of the check. So it was just, there was so much nasty financial abuse going on that I wasn't aware of because I was dyslexic with numbers, dyscalculic, I think is the word, and scared of making waves. I didn't want to create any problems.
Right.
Like, I was dealing with enough.
Right.
So I just was like, yeah, fine, you guys handle it. And big mistake.
You're on One Tree Hill, you're a working actor, you're married into this cult, and these people are overseeing your finances. Where is your mom and dad?
My mom was in California. She had remarried, wonderful guy, my stepdad. And my dad had remarried also, and he was living in New Jersey. And they were worried about me. They were really worried about me. Yeah. They were... I think they tried their best to communicate with me at the beginning that they were concerned, and I wanted to enact my independence. I wanted to feel like I knew I had relied on them for so much in life, and I wanted to be able to do my own thing and feel that sense of superiority, like, oh, I've surpassed my parents.
Yeah.
And at that point, it's just so hard. I think it was so hard for them to communicate with me because I wouldn't hear it. I had convinced myself, I'd been convinced, and I had convinced myself that I was in some sort of a higher spiritually enlightened place. So it really just came down to, do you want to have a relationship with me in any way or not? And my mom did. And unfortunately, I cut my dad out for 6 years, and it was absolutely brutal.
Would you say that at some point during the success of the show, the cult is seeing this as an opportunity for them to benefit financially, and maybe that's why they're continuing to support you?
Yes, it was so clear at the end for me. That was one of the most clear things that really came to light, that, oh, this was just the bank of joy. Like, this is all, this is all for sustaining a lifestyle that the people in leadership wanted to maintain. Yeah.
You talk about in the book your relationships with your castmates on One Tree Hill, and some of them were most of them were really good, it sounds like, but it does sound like you were a little isolated because you were kind of foggy from this cult. Right? Tyler Hilton flat out said to you, "Are you in a cult?"
He did, and Craig Sheffer did too. They both did. I forgot to put that in the book because Craig reminded me of it recently. I was like, oh my gosh, I totally forgot at the basketball game you said that to me. Yeah, they did, but it was, by that time I had heard rumors. I knew that was sort of what people were saying, so it wasn't a shock. It disappointed me because obviously I didn't believe that that's what was going on.
Right.
But yeah, everybody knew. Everybody had a feeling. Did
you get the sense that anyone was distancing themselves from you because it was like, oh, that's weird, like weird religious stuff?
I think some people did.
Yeah.
There were others who never did. They just treated me like normal, and it was like, whatever you do in your free time is whatever you do. As long as you show up to work on time, know your lines, and stand on your mark, like, I'm good.
Yeah.
And I did. I was always really professional, so it didn't affect many of my relationships. But it gave me, it made me sad about all the things I missed out on, for all the cast dinners and all the parties and things. That there was bonding experiences that happen, especially with a young cast when you're on a location. It's a once in a lifetime moment, and I missed it. So that's hard, and it's sad for me. But everyone always had a lot of grace with me and made an effort, and I'm really grateful.
You are obviously playing Haley James Scott, who is this beloved character, and you and Nathan are so cute, and it's this like epic on-screen romance. But in real life, you're not experiencing that. So how did that affect you?
I think that being able to show up to work every day and put my body through the emotional muscle memory of being in a happy marriage, which wasn't always the case. I mean, Nathan and Haley had their ups and downs.
Right. Yes.
But being in that place, I think, kept alive for me the knowledge that I had that in me, that I didn't, any part of me that wanted to resign and just say, maybe feeling love and romantic and appreciated and seen and attractive and all those things isn't for me. There are plenty of people in the world who have arranged marriages, and they just figure it out, and it's for the good of the community, and who am I to judge? And maybe that's what God's calling me to, and blah, blah, blah. So there's all these parts of this inner dialogue challenging me to think that way.
Yeah.
But I have the emotional muscle memory of knowing what it feels like to be in love and be happy and feel seen, even though it's all pretend. Yeah. I'm still feeling it. And so I think, in a way, it was a huge gift because it kept a part of me alive that otherwise I might have just snuffed out of fear of many things.
Right.
So yeah, I'm grateful for it.
Yeah, that's a really good perspective. It's like you've been able to find kind of the positive.
There's so much silver lining in this. Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, which is important. Do you think if anyone else had just boldly straight out said to you what Tyler had said to you, any of your castmates, it would have changed anything?
I know at one point Paul Johansson and probably Greg Prange and a couple of other people had a meeting. It was like come in the office and shut the door meeting. What are we going to do? Is Joy okay? Is she in danger? I think they're in her money. Like, is there anything we can do?
Yeah.
And I wonder if there had been like a legitimate intervention, if everyone had sat me down, maybe I would have listened. But that's a real toss-up. I don't know if there's anything anybody could have said, because it's religion. That's your dogma. That's your, if everything else falls away, what else do we have but the philosophical answers to the big questions in life? That's what we're all searching for. When all this stuff goes away, that's what we're looking for. And if you think you've found all the answers for that and you know exactly what you believe and you're not going to waver and you're actually afraid to listen to other people's perspective because it might affect yours and then you might change your mind and then you might go to hell. Like, you're just terrified.
Right.
So the fear locks you in, so you cannot listen to other perspectives and you can't take advice from people who don't know what you know.
Yeah.
So it really, I don't know that I would have been able to hear it. It just had to happen on its own time. Like, I wasn't ready until I was ready.
Yeah.
I think a lot of addicts will tell you that too. Like, they're in and out, they're in and out, they're in and out, and something clicks. I don't know why. I don't know why. For some people, it's 5 years in, 10 years in, 40 years in. For some reason, something clicks and their sobriety works for the first time maybe ever in their life. Why? Why the timing? I don't know. You're ready when you're ready.
And people watching this are going to feel also when you're in an abusive relationship or a manipulative relationship, it's like, it's so relatable what you're saying. Or even if it's like not that bad, but it's just, you're not happy, right? Until you hit that wall. So for you, what was the wall? What was that thing that you just woke up one day and you said, I had enough?
Motherhood was huge for me in that, because I had to trust my own instincts.
Yeah.
And I hadn't been. I had been allowing other people to tell me how to live my life because I was too afraid to make my own choices. I was too afraid of messing up. But when you're a mother, nobody else can tell you. You are connected to that child. You feel what they feel. You have an instinct about things. And you don't have to be a biological mother. You could just be an adopted child. I know people who are amazing at this with pets. Like, but there's something about your own instinct when you're connected to the person you're caring for that lights up. And I just was not willing to allow someone else to tell me that my instinct about my child was wrong. I could take advice, but I just wasn't gonna second guess it. And the only other time I felt that way was when I was acting. On set, cameras roll, or on stage, I trust my instinct 100%. So I think that becoming a mother, having the consistency of 10 years on a TV series, 9 months out of the year, where I'm still working that muscle of trusting my instinct, it's just not in my personal life. Those two things really merged at the perfect moment, and when there were lots of other things I write about in the book, the way the group sort of explodes in the end. And it was a perfect storm and all the things lined up and it just really started to click.
Yeah. How hard was it for One Tree Hill to be coming to an end and also you're leaving your marriage, you're hitting this wall of I've had enough, and you realize that the group pretty much bankrupt you?
Yeah.
What's going on in your mind? How do you find it within yourself to say, I'm going to find a new path here?
In my case, it had to get so bad that I was willing to be totally alone in the world and in the worst situation I can imagine, which was just being alone and broke and with all these bills to pay, no guarantee of another job, kind of washed up. Like, I don't know what I'm going to do, but whatever that pain is, even in the unknown, it has to be better than whatever I'm experiencing right now. But it was really devastating, really painful. I lost so much weight. I got really depressed. My daughter, I was so grateful that her needing basic needs as babies do, kept me
Yes.
present and alive and joyful and playful and all of those things. I just had to. I don't know. I just forced myself. It's like, it's the thing. Maybe it's no, I was going to say it's an actor thing, but that's such a imperialist perspective. No. And maybe it's a mother thing. I don't know. But there's something that happens when you know your child needs you. It's the mom lifting the car, I guess, off the baby, like the adrenaline just kicked in.
Yeah.
And so I just kept showing up for her and just kept showing up and trusting. I had a whole faith journey as well coming out of that, which is really difficult. And just trusting that I was going to be okay.
Yeah, you write really beautifully about your daughter in the book, too.
Thanks.
It's very clear that she was the silver lining out of all of this. And you say you would do it again.
100 times.
Yes, for her.
Yeah.
Which I get chills because I think of my own mommy.
Yeah, absolutely. Suffering's going to happen.
Yes.
We all have it.
Yes.
In some degree or another. So instead of complaining about my suffering, like, you don't want to spend your life complaining about your suffering. Like, what can we make out of it? Let's make it into something.
Yes. Absolutely. And what is really beautiful is that you don't end up alone when you leave the cult. Your father comes back into your life.
Yeah.
Your mother is in your life.
Yeah.
You reconnect with a lot of people. And how beautiful is that, right? And I'm so happy people are going to read this story because they're going to see that you're not alone.
Yes, it's huge. I really want people to know that they're not alone. And women out there, and men, I mean, anybody that's in a situation where you're affected by narcissistic abuse, you're not alone. Like, the isolation is the first tool, but even if you've been locked up in it for a long time, there are so many people with open arms waiting to embrace you. And often it's especially the people that you pushed out in the beginning. The people that you have the most shame around are the people that have the most grace.
It's amazing.
Often, yeah.
So how did you reconnect with your One Tree Hill castmates? What are your relationships with them now? Have they reached out about the book or anything like that?
Oh, plenty. Yeah. I've gotten lots of love and support, and I love my cast. We all are just so close still, this sense of we see each other at these conventions that when we don't get to see each other for a long time, and to be able to sit down and reconnect and just stay caught up now. I don't feel as much FOMO as I used to.
Right.
Like,
that's very nice.
Yes, please. Stay in touch. Keep me abreast of what's going on in your lives. And, and I want to be a better friend. Like, I'm still learning what that looks like.
Yeah.
But I have some really great people in my life who I'm learning how to do that from.
Yeah.
And, yeah.
So don't kill me, but the
Reboot.
The reboot, yes. The reboot.
I know. I will stop you right there. I wish I could give you an answer that was
Okay.
different than I'm giving everybody else. It's too early. I
Okay.
just have no information.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
But I'm thinking, like, wouldn't it be nice for you, because like you said, you didn't get to experience the way you would have liked to back then, to do something now and have this light, happy you entering it?
It would be really fun to do it that way. Yes, it would.
I would love that for you.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I feel like we'll see. We'll see what happens. I don't know much about this version of it at all, but I would love to be invited in to creatively participate in that. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah. I think you were so brave to share everything you shared in this book. I can only imagine how hard it was for you. For people that are going through something like this, that see themselves in you in this book, what do you say to them?
You can do it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You're going to be okay. You're not alone. Don't resign. Don't stop searching. Yeah. And you can do it.